Empire indeed. Very scary team to play against right now. You've seen it being said by many of the opponents and also many of the Group B participants who are aware of the fact that at some point they might face Empire down in playoffs. So,
yeah.
Right now we are going to Oregon, and let's see what the operator bands will come out like, because there is always a little bit of flexibility you can go for here. Okay, there's a Jekyll gone, understandable. Might mean that FaZe wants to lean in a bit more towards a roam play to hopefully disrupt Empire. And we did see for a fact, I believe it was against Team 1, it was the map on Clubhouse. They put joystick on the Jekyll, able to clear out the roamers very efficiently, very quickly with that C7E. So, might be as a result of that.
Well, we've seen FaZe ban Jekyll a fair few times throughout this tournament, I think.
As well.
I think they banned him in the previous map against Team 1 on Coastline. I think I'd have to go back over notes, but at the minute, I've got no time for that. We're about to get into the game here. Mira. And we might round out the removals on Oregon. Pretty standard, pretty kind of par for the course. Those last expectations there, it still leaves a fair chunk of intel gathering on the side of the defense. You can play this with a couple of bits of extensions and rotations if you want to.
Quickly trying to find it, but my internet has decided to stop working. So
oh no.
We're not going to get that information as we speak, so we are just going to be focusing onto the game for now. As the Cade is being brought out, quite logically, playing in the kids' dorms. The Maverick is making its appearance from the side of Shepard. So, not going to have too much trouble, I would assume, opening up these walls. Quickly going to be able to take care of the mute jammer. That's a line that comes in from Cider. That's interesting.
Not the biggest pickup that we see too much in EU as a region. It obviously had its moment in the sun and then sort of drifted away and was locked away for a while. In other regions, it still has a bit of prominence, and on certain maps, for sure, it has more of a prominence than others like Coastline. But in terms of the EU wheelhouse, I would say you probably see it less than you do in APAC, in Latin America, potentially NA as well. It's not the most common sight, so consider my curiosity's piqued, Cider.
Which game were you referencing to just a second ago? Was it
the literally one that we just saw, FaZe in Team 1.
Was it Ashband from FaZe?
Ah, okay.
It's an interesting one.
It's an interesting one. That, yeah.
Vertical holes are being created. That is, of course, to try and challenge these default plant positions. Bullet will be playing from below. Actually got a electrical on to help out as well. So the Hebanov always is not going to be as free, opening up into that kitchen. So a bit more utility needs to be used. Empire wants to clear out that body from below, which is Bullet, which does have a C4 and does have vertical angles to play with. So it's going to be quite a dangerous one to let live. And that means that sooner rather than later, Empire will have to put some focus towards it. But just look at that, Astro also playing Insecurity. They are very ready to hold it off with everything they have.
A lot of pings already coming through here to, as you said, give the spot away that they want to swing around in its joystick. Suffers some scrapes as he digs his way through to get rid of that Banshee. It was very quick to react from the body and server. Didn't get him on the rebuffal and the return, however. That's an EU1D pulse, and nobody has been picked up as of yet. They're making sure that they cover their movements and momentum as they try and swing here either side of this take on the kitchen. There's concern that they can battle back and try and just get into each other with that servers still occupied. There's one that can rotate down White Stairs too, ready to swing either side. They cannot find that first bit of ingress, that first look into the fight.
Haven't been able to do so indeed. Cider now. Inside of Dining will want to try and take care of Bullet, but Astro and Cyber both are near. The challenge is being brought to Joystick as well, while Cyber tries to fall back just a slight bit. Joystick is in a very key position. If he manages to get the kill down, they have the opportunity to neutralize the vertical pressure that is there, but he's deciding to go off. They're just rushing the site right now. There's 3 off, so they can just go.
They've dug their way in. They're going to try and find the diffuser plant. A C4 goes round, but it doesn't quite get him. Always is lying down, desperately clutching it out. Bullet gets caught from a man underneath, distracted by everything going on above. A C4 pops off a little bit too late, but now it's just a Lion heading up the stairs, gets the first. Astro is going to stick it and hope the cover comes through, but it doesn't. And now it's Cider clutching it out Welcome to Oregon!
There we have it. He's just starting it off right there, very casually, picking the fights one by one rather than letting him guess. Two of those peaks did not have to happen. The one down onto the white stairs, she could have just hold it, wait for him to come up. The one that was right behind the bomb chassis and kids did not have to peek. You could have gone for the defuse there, but worked out in the end. Here you see it, like they did manage to get the plan down. Some trades came through, a C4 as well, and then Cider is allowed to go for 3 1v1s. The quick shoulder peek to pinpoint the position of cameraman and the quick giggle. Like I just did that.
Easy.
My clutch. 1v3. Post plans. Easy indeed. And the first round goes to Empire.
Okay, we say easy. That's us just imagining that's what goes along with the chuckle. Obviously not. Massive kudos for the man who charged up white stairs and took the 3 fights. It turned into a little bit of a 1 versus 1 situation, and I called it as it was going on that Astro was dabbling with the idea of sticking it in the 3 versus 1.
He
went off and then went back on to try and get the cover. If he'd have stuck it from the first time, I think he might have actually been able to do it just from holding on from the original.
When it was a 3v1 situation, he had no clue where he was going to be coming from.
Yeah.
So he saw them all jumping around. The E1D was active, and they tried to find himself. All right, where is he going to be coming from? And as soon as the noise was coming down, they peeked white stairs. That's when they started defusing. But of course, like as soon as you get a teammate drop, the first thing that anybody will do is go off the diffuser to try and help. And that might have indeed been the mistake. If they started diffusing with the knowledge that he was going to be downstairs, at the moment they cleared out the last player on site, that would have been an easy round for FaZe.
Well, Cyber's going a little bit aggro and hoping for the same sort of dig, deep dive and push potential that came through before with that FO12. As Demo lovingly puts it, the Titan Killer is ready to start tearing through every body that gets close. It's a drone first though, and they say, oh, there he is. And Iana says, yep, still there. He can't quite get it. That's not its effective range. Its effective range is right in front of your face. But if they can pull this off, this could be a very big opener. It is such a dangerous dance Cyber is sticking to now. But look at the utility that's being thrown his way. And he gets a big bite out of Dan. It's locked off, though. Souls and Astro are the ones that swing around either side. They came to the support of the man in the corner, and he's still dancing around blue joystick. Creeps his way around, wants to try and win the fight above the stage. The E1D offers the support. It's a ping, and it's a body. Didn't know the drone was watching. They find one back, but it's still such a dangerous approach.
Very dangerous approach, and we saw how effective the FO12 is on the Oregon basement in the Giants game. Right here as well, putting up a lot of pressure, and there you have it. Cyber just going aggressive as soon as these flashbangs get tossed in. Leaving it all up to Joystick and Cider now, trying to go for a 2v4 clutch situation. The E1D pops up, but no one will be moving. This piece of utility gets destroyed. The Banshee is gone. The C4 reigns in. That is going to be picking up Joystick and leaves it all up to Cider, who then gets the FO12 in front of him. Going to be able to respond to that quick enough, and that is going to be the return on the round and FaZe to equalize the scoreline.
Well, it started with Cyber trying to be the door that Dawn was allowed to enter through, but it was perfectly played around either shoulder. We saw the extension and rotation from Blue, and then we saw the other dropped through E-Box as well. It was well played, and they responded quickly. And I think that's the difference between the first round and the second round is obviously Empire saw an opening and just took it. And it's not that the double window wasn't not watched. There was somebody in kids' dorms, but they realized if we go quick, we might be able to get the cover, which they were able to successfully do. It came down to a clutch, sure. The change here, FaZe met them at the opener. FaZe met them at the door. They said, no entry. This is our land. This is our territory. You got to come in a different way.
Yeah, definitely so. Big thing is, of course, that it was 3 people below in the first round, which allows you to just take the top floor. And well, when you're defending the basement, there's no real need to be above, especially not with the limited destructibility, the limited verticality that is available to try and attack the laundry and supply room. So at that point, you can just 5 men on site. There is no way, and then a rush is going to be very, very difficult to pull off, especially the one that they pulled off in round number 1. But now we're back on a, well, first floor site, and that means that the FaZe defense will be split out. A couple of them will be in the bedrooms, maybe one in the tower. Indeed, Cider there is using the FO12 again. Wouldn't be surprised given how close these angles are inside of the small tower.
That's it. Yet again, wants to meet them at the quickest point of entry and make sure that they have some pressure pushed back against them. Doesn't want Empire to be able to set themselves up for their take, makes them uncomfortable, and most notably, make sure that they don't have that confidence to scream their way right through into the heart of sight. Pinging for the cover potential. There is a body that's obviously inside dorms as well to offer some support as the destruction starts to rain out and bounce around the corners. Here comes the push. Empire swing close up the stairs too. Another drone is where it goes for it. The close swing, and the Ella mine gets popped off, as does Ella. Pops the first through. There's 2 grenades. There's a man blind dancing behind a shield. But look again, all this utility, all of this dedicated to trying to get one person out of a single few square feet. There's a bit of cover coming from underneath, and finally Empire have the drop on somebody who yet again has led them around the rosies.
Look how much time has been wasted by the FO12 in the small tower. Full minute is gone, and that's some time you're not going to be able to get back. And you lost joystick in the process as well. That is 3 of your breaching charges that could be used to open up into showers, for example. Maybe take care of some banshees or evil eyes that will be placed down onto the side. Now you're going to have to do with your grenades if you have any left. Yes, they do still have 3. So be careful though, that's a C4. Doesn't quite go through the little hole that was being created by the Maverick. That means that Shepard will live. For now, at least, as now he continues to open up. So you can see here that the pressure is really coming down. They do want to make sure that they have the showers control, as everybody should have, if you want to go for an execute on this spot. And as the long angles are being created, it is key and very important that those will be watched, because it seems like they want to plant right behind the couch.
Here comes the final 50 seconds, and there goes most of the wall. It's Astro that suffers and suffers further. Dropped as he tried to retreat back to a slightly safer spot, was playing dangerous by showers. They got him much quicker than they were able to take care of Cyber here, though. Lined up with still 3 frag grenades in pocket. They can go a bit deeper here. The catch could be the angles set up from the defenders. If they swing wide, we know FaZe like to swing back, but it's Shepard that finds the first ingress. Always digs up deep to offer some of the showers control to make sure they have some of the flat lateral coverage across the site and the plant point. With only 15 seconds, the spray comes out, showers goes down, but always, well, he's not popping up for anybody else's business. Sticks it just as he gets dropped the last second yet again. They find themselves a diffuser, but with Bullet the only one left standing from FaZe, he chases for a bit of aggression, suffers on the way out, could get the safe pick back up, but this grenade could be the maker there. There it goes. Shepard drops cameraman just as he was back to his feet, and it's just a steady bit of back to where he was before, but with 20 less seconds, a Gemini was the bait and play. Dan has no reason to go any deeper than he does here, waiting on the door. They've got to cross a very uncrossable big bit of dead land right in the middle here with so many angles and so many options. It's just a matter of them waiting and pushing, but at this point, they don't even have to.
Time's not even there. They still managed to pick up that final kill. Dan padding the stats there, but the round is the most important thing that gets brought up. And, well, they have a beautiful grenade being tossed in there. They went for the pickup. Nate landed right underneath the feet. It's lucky that it wasn't a double kill right there, but Bullet unable to clutch the round either way. And I think it might start off with this exact play. It's Cyber that is playing in the small tower, manages to waste so much utility. Look at that. 3 flashbangs, 2 grenades, and still manages to live. Of course gets taken out right after, but he managed to take the kill down onto joystick. We use a lot of utility and waste more than a minute worth of time. But it doesn't matter. It's like Empire, they just continue to go anyway and get that plant down because there is no sufficient cover.
Back to dorms, the site where, to be fair to FaZe, they almost pulled it back. They couldn't quite get the handle on the diffuser planter, as we just saw in that round as well. It was one person that stuck it, and both times the diffuser's gone down, and within less than a second, that planter has been killed. Both times.
Well, I mean, it's dedication to the cause.
That's it.
Right? You gotta get that diffuser down no matter the cost, and make sure that the timing is in your favor, because especially if you're playing against Empire, a team that is setting themselves up so well for these post-plant situations, or clutch themselves through it if they have to. That is kind of the nice thing about it, right? If you are an attacker and you plant the diffuser, you know that every single defender will be trying to work towards that diffuser to get it disabled, because you only have 45 seconds to do it. There's not going to be a defender that holds off like 50 meters away from the diffuser to try and hold the cross angle, because if your cover dies, or if the planter or counter diffuser dies, you need to be there to take it. So you generally know where these defenders will be in that case.
When you're up against a team that solidly has this idea of, look, we've got you covered, go joystick. Well, joysticks already pushing pressure onto the site, taking over trophy, got an early kill there, and now it's down to FaZe to see if they can respond as quickly as possible. Bullet and Cider are going to keep themselves locked underneath the site because the verticality became a good part of their pullback previously, so they don't need to waste it as of yet, but the dedication to the intel, because this is a very different push, and they've got to realize this and react to it sooner rather than later, because as we said before, later, when you've got Empire who love to get that plant in and most importantly stick it, you have to react just as quick and just as dedicated as the Russian machine is to making sure they pull off the objective.
Some lines are being created there by the Hibana, making sure that Attic, for example, will be unplayable. C4, however, will take care of the X-Gyros. Mean that a new set will have to be used to try and get control off it. Always first, however, putting the pressure and the priority onto the actual bridge, because it will be important for the eventual plant. And as Cyber tries to take down a drone, it's just joystick to go in. We'll be able to pick up one before he gets punished.
Didn't know somebody with that close in the rotate, but, well, now there's nobody left apart from Souls. Found himself isolated in the middle of the site. Trophy is where his head gets collected, and Empire find themselves that safety round in the middle, pushing their difference to 2.
Yeah. Just a quick sip being taken down there from the Empire members. Stay hydrated, you know.
Yeah, keep yourself hydrated.
They're doing quite well. It's like 3-on-1 and they're attacking Oregon.
They're the same bottles that we've got, actually.
Of course, yeah, but they have probably their names on it rather than our. It would be cool if they had our names on it, but I don't think they do. Wouldn't it be?
If I was a player and I got a bottle with like,
well, I mean, it wouldn't be cool for them, but
if I got a bottle with like Dez's name on,
yeah, I mean,
I would ask
for a replacement. I want an ace in that case.
Everybody wants the ace bottle.
Yeah,
that's the collector's one.
Those are the rare ones.
Anyway, your point before I started making jokes about water bottles?
I don't even know anymore.
I'm sorry.
3-1. They're doing quite well in the attack.
Okay.
That was the point. Yes, I just quickly had to take a look at the scoreline. 3-1. Pretty good house so far for Empire. There is still 2 more rounds to play for. That means there is the opportunity for either FaZe to close it out towards a 3-3, or Empire maybe able to pick up 5 rounds and anything in between. But they're already on to a good start. 3 rounds on your attack is considered pretty good overall, and if they manage to make that 4, well, FaZe is really going to be having to struggle on their own attacks.
Now then, we've got to see if FaZe can do what they did before, though. Double down and lock it off. However, I'm going to point to the curiosities that we've just experienced in this game, in that we saw the first site double down for the first time, and Empire brought a very different push. They were successful the first time round. It came off a clutch, but success is either way. They realized a lot of the FaZe hold was heavy and structured towards the dorms, towards that verticality, found the different point of ingress of Trophy, of Attic, and dug in that way. So I'm curious if they're going to ignore Blue, or at least pay it less attention, less blood, and less focus, and maybe try and draw some FaZe players away. We can already see a bit of a loose push and a bit of a loose information get here around the kitchen space. Want to, I guess, take over the freezer hatch and make that a little bit more uncomfortable. Yep. It's what you can do to minimize the hold that they have over Blue at this point.
That was the thing, right? Last round we saw 3 people trying to push in from Blue, and it did not go well at all. And now Empire have decided that there is a secondary push you could go for. You can go for the freezer and laundry take as well, and then, you know, you just put up one person from the behind, from the back stairs, and if you manage to get the pressure down that way, you are going to be able to still potentially go for a cameraman. Go quite aggressive right here. Has he been seen? No, but the Renat will be coming in. He knows, but they're not able to get the shot down either way. Cameraman opens up the score.
Huge amount of experience in game sense there for them to be able to pull that off. You could see Dan pre-fired, but when you're going into that animation, it'd be tougher to get yourself into that situation and in that range. And with that velocity, that SMG tore him up. But A minute 30. They've been able to take over meeting. They've been able to get the land that they wanted. You can see cameraman, as I said, his attention has been brought over towards this side of the Freezer 2 based on what was the initial kind of ideas of Empire, dancing drones and trying to piece things together, making sure that they can cut off this rotation, which is important. Souls, in the meantime, is looking to get aggressive back. Can't use the C4 yet until it's either more opened or that claw goes, because otherwise it's just going to get destroyed on his own utility. Has to wait and bait. Cameraman is looking like he doesn't want to have any part of the weight bit of that structure. He's dancing with a shotgun at the bottom. It's such a dangerous game they're playing, and the dropped grenade is going to make it even worse. Is that 3 bodies inside Freezer?
No, there's 2 bodies, but there is 1 on the main stairs and 2 on that hatch, and while they're pulling out the nitro now, trying to at least get a kill with it. And Empire really trying to put some pressure down. Unfortunately, some of these will not stick. The X-Carros, however, will be placed on the wall to try and create something. Joystick will be running in, picks up 1 before he gets traded out by Bullet. But that is at least a bit of an opening that they can work with.
Popping the shocks now as they have 30 seconds. They got to try and focus and formulate their plan and make sure it's the one that sticks. Diffuser down is their standard MO as it gets juggled to Shepard. It looks like they're eyeing up this laundry cross. Astro, in the meantime, has a very cheeky angle here, waiting for a little bit to sliver through. There it is, doesn't quite get it, and suffers in the exchange, but with such a little amount of time left, it's the fight inside Laundry that takes the double, and Astro locks off FaZe. They still had the connections to the core of the site they needed, but what they need to do now is see if they can do it on a site other than Laundry.
That's it, indeed. Laundry, they have managed to win twice. Now Empire will be going on to their last attack. Having the opportunity to, as I said, bring up the lead for the second half. It's up to FaZe to try and fight back into that. Meeting Hall Kitchen is the site they will decide to do so. Or as we would say, kitchen. Just like dining kitchen is kitchen. Are they going to be able to make a steak? Like, there is a couple of ways that you can attack this one. So, you could either go for the kitchen, logical, it's in the name, or you can go for the attic take, which gives you control of the hatch, which allows you to basically cut down the complete area of meeting and try and plant behind the table, behind the stage. So, it's one of the options you have right there. And it's up to Empire to try and find out which hold will be the weakest. And well, with a clash on the board for FaZe, it might just well be wherever she's not playing.
Okay, FaZe Clan, instead of opting for any of the ones you played before, I guess we're going to try what is new, what is curiosity. Because we haven't seen this site as much this tournament. For all the times that we've seen Oregon, a lot of the times people have swung themselves away from the big open space that meeting is. You will generally see, as you said, a couple of different takes and a couple of different strategies. Tower, if they went for that as an attack, I think that's been well looked after and locked by FaZe. For all the engagements we've seen around a big tower, it's not a huge amount. They've generally all gone FaZe's way. They like to play around this space, and they're very quick to react to the changes here. Dan is the one that's putting his eyes onto tower. They're going with a very spread out approach and making sure that they can clear bit by bit and room by room. The meat of Empire's approach seems to be more akin towards that front opening there.
I believe the side, this will be the 12th time it gets played from the 104 rounds we've had on Oregon so far.
Wow.
Oh, wait, there's only 27 rounds now. Never mind. It's the 16th time I just refreshed. I had to hit that refresh button. Nonetheless, it is not the best site for the defenders. Only a 27% win rate so far. And it's up to FaZe to try and make that up a little bit higher, as they have chosen to be, well, this to be their final site they go to. This to be the final time they try and fend off Empire on their defenses. To be able to make that work as Cider opening up all the way down to, or at least attempting to the Armory hallway window, but not able to get the shots down.
The bullet hole held patiently from Trophy. Empire are very good at their droning game. They're very adept at making sure that those sort of problems aren't ones that they suffer too frequently, and they react very well to those holds. However, FaZe are very patient with this sort of play. You can see the man is staying up there, even though the drones are sort of whirring and trying to clear as much intel around that space. He's going to make sure that he can make a problem here for as long as he can possibly do it, as Cider goes for a very hefty rotate. In fact, finds his rotation all the way up towards main stairs. Now could come up around the back of Dan. No, Dan slipped away as Joystick headed up Armory 2. He's just getting himself a bit of a cross angle here. Joystick is technically isolated right now. There's no one in the immediate pickup without another blue body being the man in between.
Grenade being tossed in, that might land right behind. No, actually won't, but Dan will go down. Has been picked up, I believe, by cameraman who took a lot of damage himself as well, and the secure will come in, the C4 will be used. The utility with 40 seconds left, it might just well be worth it as Joystick right here will be trading the favor. Bullet will go down. Now we'll have that top floor control that is oh so valuable, but there's still the clash that they need to deal with. And if you look at the utility that is there is just not much to deal with, especially not if Cyber comes up.
As I said, Cider was the man that was in the middle, rotating up steadily and slowly, able to bait that patience. There's the clash, grenaded, pushed back, but still standing, and that's the huge problem when you only have 10 seconds left. Sure, you've done a lot of damage to a lot of people, but you don't have vertical. You finally have another body with a grenade, but with that locked off upstairs and with no real route through, it's just a timeout on the round. 3-3, FaZe well played. The clash, a great adaptation that really scarpered and stunned the Empire approach.
Especially if you're coming in that last round when there's no more opportunity to bring some extra utility for it during the next time around. And that means that FaZe are going to be able to just barely bring it back to a 3-3. However, it was a 1-3 situation for Empire, mind you. And FaZe able to get two in a row here. It's going to be making sure that we have a competitive second half about to come up. As Empire will be choosing to go downstairs. Laundry supply. The Echo gets brought out, of course, for denial. Something we have seen a couple of teams struggle with today. Especially Team 1 against FaZe when, well, they just snuck in the plant time and time again and there was nothing there to stop it. So the Yokais being brought out might be a great adaptation for them.
FaZe's attacks are some of the best coordinated that we've seen across this tournament. There's no two ways about that. The way they blend their utility on a push is rhythmic. It's just fun to watch, and you can break it down and see all the different angles. One of the things that was pointed out, though, is sometimes against other solid teams, they've run it a couple of different times. They've run the same strat a couple of times to see if they can make it stick, sometimes up to 3 times on the same site. And Empire are a great team at responding to those changes. Empire are a good team at picking that stuff apart in the middle of a game and trying to find a weakness. I'm curious to see the FaZe adaptations, I think, if it starts to go that way, because they have that ability, but if they get a little bit too stuck in the mud and the stoic levels of their plays, Empire might be able to start putting another bit of distance between them.
Yokai's being pre-placed here, of course. Latest change to them that was made is they are no longer invisible when they are. That also means that we have seen a lot less IQ ever since that change came in, because it is just a lot easier to try and find these Yokais now. You can just send in the drone, you just pre-ping it, and swing right after it to take care of it.
Bullet already stacked on the top of the freezer stairs, holding the angle and saying, well, look, I'm here, I'm going to wait. You guys get yourself set up. I'm ready for whatever we want to throw down the stairs. And then apparently it's the combination of hot gunning right behind Iana. She's slipping past with the Gemini. It runs out just before I think they met Joystick. I don't think he shot it. I think it did just time out as they tried to turn the corner. That'll give them, I guess, Empire a bit of safety. They would hear some of the audio cues. They would know that the pressure was coming very quick, very hot, and very, very to the point here around the side of Freezer. Popped, they both pull away, and that's the smart decision right now. Joystick and Dan aren't going to take the fight inside Freezer. They do not want to get isolated and cut off.
Now, instead, they're falling back a little bit because there has been lines of sight being created that you can use from Laundry and onwards. So they might be trying to put a bit more pressure onto Dose to make sure that it is still going to be contested. As the hatch opens up, Always also has to move a little bit because he is now vulnerable from that angle. Playing around the corner, just waiting. About 75 seconds left. FaZe, their attacks, we have been praising them, but they do need to make a move on now. They need to get some control so they can start getting and start working to get that diffuser on the ground and counting down. And they're still running from left to right to north to south, and Opening up these hatches they go for. Astro waiting to potentially go. That's a drop coming through the hatch.
Well, they're instantly into E-Box, and Souls finds the first as they flood their way through. Bullet accidentally drops Cameraman, and he's got the diffuser in a costly corner. Right now, Shepard swings back round elbow, leaves the man isolated as Dan takes back control of Pillar. It's a bit of an entire situation here as he finds himself in the middle of a whirlwind of Empire players. They battle back, and suddenly he's out of the situation, but he's watching from above as 2 remaining FaZe players are all that's left, still isolated, still with a lot of people to go through. They get the first though, and it's just a matter of seeing if they can dig through the next. The close corners on Blue gets him and leaves only the Sophia. For all the setup they did and all the different angles, it came down to that drop and that man isolated, and a final kill or a trade even. Empire, a bit of a surprise.
It was a bit of a surprise indeed. They tried to drop down the E-Box, and it was red. They were aware the Yokai drone was in position to give out the information. One quick kill coming through. Unfortunately, not everything at that end, but it didn't matter anyway, as they did keep control of literally everything. Freezer stayed in their control. Pillar stayed in their control. Elbow stayed in Empire's control, and they were allowed to retake it in that case. And as the Pillar players spotted the elbow just quickly, there you have it, Dan, quickly disappearing in E-Box. They knew, all right, there's one more that we have to deal with. And as they did, the round slowly went into their hand, and Empire are going to be 1 round up here. They're starting off their defense with a win, and they're going to the top floor now.
Yeah, we saw in that situation, he found himself surrounded by Empire players. That 1 team kill cut off his support line and cut off his lifeline. It's not that there weren't other players still standing, but when everyone around you is an opponent, that little angle of safety.
Was that from the big tower stairs, maybe?
The team kill?
Yeah, I was wondering where it came from. I missed that part. I was checking on Blue when it happened. If you don't know, it doesn't go back on it.
I don't know.
I think because we had 1 man trying to go for the plant, I think it was coming down from the big tower stairs down onto the soft wall.
Potentially.
As they tried to potentially challenge the player on Pillar. I don't know, I missed that one, but it definitely doesn't help.
There was a lot happening.
There was a lot happening. It was a giant explosion suddenly onto the site, and Empire now 1 round ahead, bringing up the Goyo. The Souls on that Monty is going to have to be the spear point of the attack, hoping to, well, shepherd these players back into a position that is good for FaZe to try and take care of. Set up some flank watches, some angles, just so you can pick them up. That can be really dangerous if cameramen start shooting. I was going to say, if cameramen start shooting at the right moment, that shield might just implode instantly.
Well, the adaptation we saw be successful for them before on their defense was bringing the clash, adding that shield, adding that buffer that Empire struggled to break through. Here, they're going with a sort of similar tact, see if they can roll their way through onto Empire this way round. The C4 pops does some slight damage to the man behind, but look at that to the Monty. That is a huge blow when you've still got at least another one. There it goes though, and look at the Monty now. A little bit of a smoke canister, a little bit of a Goyo shield, and he's gone, and a lot of it is starting to come through as Astro crawls his way across Attic. They've set up a very decent flat push here. Joystick is the one underneath inside Classroom trying to school him, but that again isolates this Monty player. He's found himself suddenly without that Maverick on his shoulder and without anybody directly offering the countenance. They're concerned for the push coming from the back, so Astro's had to pull back. He's going to get droned. He's going to make sure Yana has a bit of intel. If they can take 1 more body from the back of the site, they might be able to do something, but always is very keen-eyed towards that side. Dan, very keen-eyed towards Trophy Door. It's Astro who makes the first move. He creeps his way through because Yana can't, gets one, gets ready for the trade, doesn't quite catch them though. It's Cameraman that needs to, and they do. A very important pick up there, but with Astro on the floor and one of the Montys being so low, it's down to the damage that can be done underneath. A minute though. Plenty of time to get him picked back up.
Where is Bullet? Bullet, he needs to push. He has the diffuser. He needs to go in. He's still in front of that window. Always is watching that from below. Just prone. Is going to be able to drop it there, but he doesn't know there's a second one. Maybe. Yes, he does know. He's trying to go for those shots, but will be failing to land them. And that means cameraman now can go and try and push for that plant while Souls is holding off onto the white stairs. This is going to be making it very hard for Empire to retake because that shield is going to be a pain to deal with. 40 seconds. Oh no, just an impact. This one left. He was really low on HP. Suddenly, it is Empire all back into this.
Yeah, so exceptionally low on health, but two of them are trying to take up white. They're jiggling. They went and got dropped on the first one. Cameraman pulls off. We've seen a body go underneath two. They've reclaimed verticality. Astro is under. Astro has a charge and always has such a little amount of health. He's dancing in such a dangerous game. They've blown it back open. New position. Where are you going, Astro? You've got to try and get this kill, Astro. You do just, though.
I was like, where are you running? What are you running to? He is defusing. Of course he will try. And of course the time was running out. He could just start spraying anyway. Wouldn't matter if he would lose the gunfight. Actually, I'm checking back now. It was 10 seconds left, so he had to go for a great call. And great shot in the end. But that almost would have been an Empire round. And just that one impact onto that Monty brought FaZe back into it. But a great pre-fire from cameraman, I believe it was. Making sure that we'll pick up at least one before falling back all the way behind the bed and being shut down by Always. Beautifully played.
So close. So scrappy. Just what was needed. 4-4.
Just what was needed, just barely.
Just barely.
Otherwise, it would have been a 5-3 right now for Empire. So well played there by FaZe. Able to win it by the objective. And are they going to be able to continue this streak? Are they going to be able to, well, maybe get some extra attack rounds in, FaZe, that is? Been labeling this as a defense side of map, and Empire now on their defense should have the, well, upper hand of this matchup. But if FaZe are able to execute that well onto that top floor, use that Monty to great effect, and of course Astro just running in and gunning everybody down from the attic side. What are you going to do against it?
Well, let's see those adaptations. Let's see the changes come through. I really liked when we saw the moment FaZe pulled back. They reconvened, they reevaluated. They knew that they were in a little bit of a situation there where they'd started their push, they'd started their execute. Astro had crawled all the way up attic, and then they lost that first body on the flank. You saw Astro pull back. You saw, as I said, he was re-droning, reaffirming the intel that they had. Iana didn't have that point of ingress because of the two bodies that had it covered, so they needed Astro to be the man that dug deep, got the kill, and, well, came through for the finale too. What else could you ask for here, though? Quick pace towards this pinch. He is so close to swinging around that corner, but Joystick is close to doing the same. Too late to get the man who slips up and repels all the way to the top. The pings are consistent for Always. The frag grenade you assume might come around the corner here from Iana, if not a Gemini. They know exactly where he is, but it actually heads up white instead, trying to bait the play as Cider is the first to suffer.
Now, use the gun 6 as Joystick gets the first kill. Astro will drop and Always will find his second as Bullet now hits the deck, and Empire going to be completely dismantling FaZe right here. There is no Monty on the board to play with, and suddenly Empire are taking all these gunfights they can find, and they're winning them as well. Only leaving Souls and Cyber up to play. No more frag grenades, only 3 flashes, 5 canisters, and 18 sets of Exkyros. What they have available to them to make this happen, but the utility still left on the defense. 4 impact, a nitro, 3 smoke canisters. It will be very hard for them to make sure that they win this round.
I think my biggest curiosity in that sort of attack was they knew where he was and we were calling it. We saw the motion, but Empire's response was, hey, listen, lads, I need a bit of a hand here. And suddenly they've got 2 other Empire players coming to support the single body inside server. Then they've entirely pulled themselves back up to the side. They're all across the top, and, well, suddenly it's Joystick popping off and locks it off on the top of white, and that was Empire responding to a problem and making sure the answer was entirely in Russian.
Yeah, I was going to say, it made their response sound a bit British for the Russian squad to hear that.
I can't speak Russian.
No,
I know
don't
that this
speak Russian either. We would need Milosh over.
You have like Milosh who speaks several languages.
Yeah.
Jess knows a few words in a couple of different languages.
Also down the full vocab as she gets.
She knows Italian, or at least enough of it to impress me. But I'm very easily impressed. I do not speak Russian, unfortunately, but
I speak Dutch, but I don't think we got very far with that.
If I knew the Russian for "Don't worry, we're coming to" no, don't we're coming to help you for the man that was trapped in server, then that's what they probably said, and then they made sure that they acted upon it. 5-4 though. They are still only one round ahead. We still have the potential for this to keep going all the way to the end, to the nail and the wire. It's seeing if they can replicate Laundry as a whole, and as I said at the beginning of this half, sometimes FaZe's attacks can be a little bit, like, known. I'm not going to say repetitive, because they do them very well, but the executes can be learned. As we've seen in their own region, as we've seen in this tournament, they'll sometimes repeat an attack over and over again.
There is a way to counter it, and it gets found, and it gets implemented.
Yeah, and that's what I'm curious about, is because FaZe are also very talented in terms of when they can kind of pull themselves back around. I want to see if there's a major change towards this push, or I want to see if they think, no, we can do it down, we're just not going to accidentally team kill this time.
Yeah, and then again, how much would that team kill have mattered in that case? Because, well, we will never know. Either way, 2 minutes 40, quick control being established here from FaZe, just making sure that the first floor is completely theirs. Not quite sure if they had pre-placed their own on the top floor to make sure that they... No, it doesn't seem like it, as Astro quickly will be using the Twitch drone to get some extra information, making sure that they're really not being flanked, and literally all 5 players are on the site. As the Gemini is going in first, that might be used to go for a bit of a refrag onto Joystick as the Gemini comes. Bull tries to follow, but he's not going to be following up with it.
This was the same way we saw them approach before. They sent the Gemini down, had 2 people behind it, got a bit deeper, but Empire didn't contest it as quickly and aggressively as they did just then. It seems like FaZe are aware of this, and they want to try and actually apply a bit more pressure slightly deeper. They're going to try and get the hatch open first to make sure that if anybody is playing the angle, it forces them even further and further away. Laundry seems to be the next eye, potentially, as that hatch gets open too. E-Box is already done, with Cider holding off on the tower stairs to make sure that there's not a flank, that there's not this loose bit of rotation. That's the main thing about this site, is it becomes very quick to cut off those rotations, to cut people's way out. Unfortunately, that in no way means it's any easier to actually get down there.
Definitely won't, as Astro here trying to put some pressure down. Grenades are being tossed in deep from Pillar, but direct threat will be from Harry Potter. Always sitting there below, and it's a bit of a late impact, so the hole already will be created, and that is going to be giving the Grenade the opportunity to try and get close to Always, but just not the right angle. He will stay put right there in Harry Potter, and well, they will have to try and find a drone and see whether or not he really has been cleared out, because there might be some misinformation coming if they don't.
Well, here comes the hot drop down E-Box. They found themselves in the middle of the Typhoon, but this time they're the ones that try and ride it all the way to the top dropped. As they try and swing down the back of the stairs too, it's trade for trade inside the site itself, but it's whoever can get that very important bit of land grab just in the middle. Harry Potter falls into the way of Dan, who's locked himself in for a triple. Make sure the Pillar stays solid, and yet again, we find ourselves just with a Zafir inside Freezer as the only body left. A canister acts as a bit of a dampener on the time, pops a new route through. It's a 2 versus 1, but look where the diffuser is. He has such a long climb to try and make his way back around, gets an exit frag, but with 15 seconds, he doesn't have the time to get back and get that planted without being cut off in the meantime. Shepard's close, and he makes sure it's a rounded out round for the Reds. They're both Reds.
Yes, they are. But there's only one team that is playing on the orange team right now.
That's true.
Which is Team Empire. And Team Empire, well, they just won that round. They just set themselves up for the match point. Not just one, actually. It's 2 of them. So there's plenty of time here for Empire to try and close it out, as we have a tactical timeout from FaZe. Just
makes sense.
Makes sense. You're match point behind. You have the opportunity to secure yourself a top 4 position in this win.
So they did go for a similar thing.
Yeah.
FaZe did. They tried the E-Box hot drop again. They opened up all the same hatches again. They still had the spread of, okay, well, I'll push down as a Sophia from Freezer, try and get the swing on the opposite side. We have the one body on tower stairs. They hoped this time that the adaptation of potentially diving pillar first to get that first frag. That was the one big change I think I noticed out of everything. Previously, they dug straight into the site and dropped the man in that situation. This time they went, well, let's peel back round and try and get some of the land, not find ourselves entirely encircled by Empire players. But you got to give credit to the sort of meteoric performance of Dan, who refused to be moved from that area.
I like how just, he had plenty of time to go for the reload, but grabbed out the pistol, shot the guy in blue. I was like, you know what, let me move in Harry Potter, just quickly put a new mag in the pistol rather than the D5, because extra star points. And then peeks out and gets the guy onto the back stairs as well, drops to the fuser, and with that, basically already wins the round, because there was no way that with these smoke canisters, there will be enough time to rotate all the way around and either get both kills or get the defuse down with plenty of time left. And the tactical timeout surely soon is going to be done for. They need to have the final plan ready. This could be the final round for FaZe against Empire. So if they want to make sure that they have the opportunity to go for overtime, they need to win this round. And we are going to kitchen dining soon. And we do see Valkyrie coming out. Now, I'm not sure how much Valkyrie we've actually seen today on this. Oh, never mind. I'm speaking before the round actually, of course, starts. It's the mute 6-pick. Never mind. I was going to say, it's going to be a bit of extra information here to play with for Empire.
In fact, it's the exact opposite.
They're going to deny the information.
It's denial of information. But that's 6 picks. That's what you do with it.
Yep.
You bait a play. You bait Hap as well. You talked before it was
get beta really easily, don't worry.
Learn a lesson. And let's see if, I guess, Empire can be the ones that teach one more here. FaZe. Got to try and take over kitchen and dining. We get to see a new site push and a new way of putting pressure against Empire here. And again, my curiosities are always peaked when we first see a FaZe push in a game. They're always well designed. They're always really well thought out and balanced, and it can take a lot of teams by surprise. They're good at kind of recounting things and good at getting themselves set up in a position a lot of the times too. And this site offers that malleability, that creativity for teams that love to stretch themselves around a play space, as FaZe do expect to see bodies inside small tower, but then also expect to see them pushing across dorms to get that verticality and holding down inside meeting or kitchen corridor.
I think it will really rely on the kind of push FaZe wants to go for. Like you see right now, a heavy emphasis coming down on the small tower, but Astro is having the opportunity to go for a little bit of a flank. And as soon as this window is going to get opened up, they are going to be potentially letting themselves be known. You see the rotate from Shepard, like noise goes off. They might be afraid of a rush coming down from the big tower, or at least the area around it, just to dilute the defense from Empire a little bit on the small tower, because this is really where the attack seems to be coming from.
Dan's got the deets on the drones that are heading his way and will just pull himself back so he doesn't get caught out by a quick swing, which we know FaZe are known to do. The pressure has stacked itself up on the small tower. They've been able to try and apply this pressure onto Shower, which is a very big, important part of trying to take over before you get this diffuser down. And yeah, the drone buried inside the core of the site is going to give a bit of the game away. Pre-fires around the corner. We can see another FaZe body swung around to try and get a piece of joystick too. He's under so much pressure, and Astro, well, he's going to keep himself clean. It's Bullet, though. Gets the first body dropped, swinging around the back of the Shower corridor, with Astro creeping steadily closer as we start to hear some pop pressure on the site itself.
Just jumped in the window there in the Showers hallway, managed to pick up that first kill, support Astro, who just took control of the Showers, and now you have 5 men of FaZe just all around that site, eager and hungry to go for the entry. They first need to create themselves a rotation whilst they try and push Shepard a bit further away with the grenade, but the long angles are still there, and FaZe, they need to make sure that those will be covered, and I see no smokes available. I just see a couple of flashbangs that will be tossed in. Soul's now going for that defuse, will be in the middle of that smoke and decides to stick it for a bit, losing a bit more HP than should have been necessary.
Yeah, he lost that decision, I think is the fairest way of putting it. Puts him in a really dangerous situation. They are now well aware that plant spot is watched. So FaZe, as you can see, they're starting to try and apply a bit more pressure around Showers. Look at the Maverick, though. Cider is going back to the door that they opened at the very beginning of the round in the top left. He's going to get this smoke and say, well, you're paying attention here. I've got my smoke covered, and there goes Souls, and that diffuser gets dropped. They went for an adaptation. It didn't quite work. They went for a pickup, and they realized they can just stick it out. No! Suffers even more. Iana has to to pull back, has to give them a bit of ground, but with only 20 seconds, whatever they do has to come sooner rather than later. Cider cuts one with Dan, making sure the balance stays in their favor inside that Zulu corridor. Cameraman goes for one last stick here, and one last cover, makes it count, makes the double Astro, almost gets the triple, but it's Cameraman that keeps FaZe into that round.
Almost they managed to get the defuse counted off. The smoke canisters really doing their job right there, getting the defuse cancelled off up to 3 times, managing to kill one person in the process. And as you said, the Maverick trying to go for the back push, but was being covered out perfectly well. But it was for that final spot, the final corner, that they had nothing left to try and challenge with. Maybe they had to just wait a little bit and push from 2 sides at the same time. As you see Souls right here, taking about 40–60% of HP worth of damage, and this is what I'm talking about. If it just would have waited a couple of seconds longer, let them plant, it's okay. But then peek from the white stairs window door and peek from the kitchen with the 2 at the same time, you would have been able to potentially retake it there. But 5-6, we're back on that top floor. It's FaZe that have the opportunity to bring it back to overtime, as the Empire is fighting for their last match point for a bit.
One more swing around the dorm site, and we saw this obviously go one apiece, and the response from Empire was, well, you're not getting anywhere close this time. They responded underneath. Most importantly, I think, Empire let the entire fight happen around the top floor, had the potential of the rotation underneath, got a couple of kills when they lost it, but with all that FaZe had already done, it became just a matter of overwhelming and winning those trades to lock out the game itself. It was a desperate 1 versus 1, sure, but when you have that 1 foot ahead already, well, that's when those decisions start to go more your favor.
All right, we're again going to be witnessing a couple of verticals to be created, which will be held from below. Something Empire had to face against FaZe.
Attackers have located a bomb.
Now they're going to be trying to implement it themselves, hoping to slow them down just enough to make sure that, again, you see, well, the impact last time around here. The clutch back then was, I believe, won by FaZe in the end. Astro, of course, from below, able to make it happen, but always with a pretty big roll there, dropping the diffuser once, almost dropping it for the 2nd time. And keeping that in mind, FaZe might be wanting to deal with these verticals or go for a completely different take, which is less likely to be harmed by these verticals.
Attic is where we're starting to see some of the approach by the looks of it, over the top and popping the windows with Cider. Slowly approaching from the bottom, though actually looks like they've decided not to go directly in. Maybe kitchen is where they want to make their first ideas known, have the grenades that you can try and dig up underneath, cook them perfectly, and you'll have yourself a delicious kill. Around the corner in the back of dorms, they pop nobody, as there's nobody on that exact position here as a bit of a standard hold. Look at Cyber though, and look at Souls just trying to stick the plant. Shepard, he knows though, it gets dropped though from the swing around the opposite side. Joystick finds one more. The man upside down on the game's window realizes he's not playing a game he enjoys too much, tries to put a bit of a stun back, but suddenly it's a 5 versus 2. FaZe tried to go with something quick, sneaky, and aggressive, but Empire had the lockdown and all of the intel that made it pretty easy to swing their way back in and start dropping those players. And now they found themselves in a very tricky situation of 2 bodies, 1 minute, 1 diffuser, and 1 round away from losing this.
Yeah, definitely so. I believe I always had the opportunity to take it down from below, as Joystick now goes aggressive, but didn't spot that bullet from the master bedroom. He's going to be able to bring it back at least a little bit, but a C4 might end that. No, Bullet stays alive for now. Cameraman putting in some pressure from below. 40 seconds in a 2v4 situation for you to try and play out. Always from below. It's going to be the first target, but he's going to be able to win his kill. It's up to Bullet now. A 1v4 clutch to keep them in the game, to push them to overtime and potentially secure yourselves a top 4 spot, but he is going to be taken out. Cider gets that final kill. The GGs get called, and it is going to be an Empire game after all. FaZe looked like they had the opportunity to come back. They tried to go for the sneaky plant like they've done so many times before against Team 1.